So again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Steve Bennett here from Special Mix Maryland, the headquarter office, serving as the Senior Director for Sports and Competition in the Community Program. As I was just mentioning, hopefully you're here for the right webinar, as we've had many over the last week and several more to come this week. This is the Head of Delegation webinar, if you will. You'll see a couple of these slides here talking about some promotions and some donations and fundraising activities, as well as our healthy athlete screenings. Again, we mentioned that last time. Very important efforts there with all the clinicians and everything coming over during summer games on Saturday in the University Union. You can see the 7 different disciplines that are offered here from 11 to 6 p.m. on Saturday. So again, really highly encourage you to get your athletes and those individuals over there for this free screening and follow-ups and families. That's where they'll have a little meet and greet, if you will, with families at the Healthy Athletes, as they can walk through those different stations with their family members who are participating as an athlete for summer games. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started with the webinar this evening. So, as I mentioned, this is for the pre-competition or final follow-up officially through a webinar such as this with us here from the headquarters office and you guys who serve as the heads of delegation for your programs heading to summer games. We also have with us Mike Sarnowski, our VP of Sports at Special Mix headquarters. And I believe I did see Jane Dunn, who joined us as well, who hopefully as a head of delegation, you're familiar with Jane, as she has been communicating with you in regards to housing and other aspects leading up to that process to make sure those who are staying overnight on campus, and we'll talk about that, little updates and things like that regarding housing here in a few minutes. So, and again, some of this is going to be repetitive from our last webinar, if you will, but I think it is important to highlight some things. There is some new information that we'll talk about as well. So, basic agenda. Don't think it'll go very long this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So as long as Mike keeps it to a minimum with his talking points. But we'll talk about some general information in regards to summer games. Like I said, the housing and some registration that Mike and Jane will cover. Some other general information in regards to the lead ups and information and where the resources can be found. Again, you saw this, hopefully you remember that last time, and you'll see that throughout the games. Again, our logo or our theme for summer games. I'm probably going to go through some events after summer games throughout the year as well, with experience inclusion as our theme, if you will. So as we talked about, we do have several more webinars this week. One of the ones, if you haven't seen it or if you want to attend that as well, Mike Sarnowski sent out a welcome and an invite, if you will, to all of the families and athletes who have valid email addresses in GMS in regards to a informational session with them as well. And that's on June 13th, later this week. There's the link for that. If you want to join that, you're more than welcome. It is designed, generally speaking, for the families and competitors who will be coming again. So we know that you guys have been communicating with them as well as their coaches and others of your leadership and your delegation leaders. But again, we feel that it's good for us to share some basic information with them as well. And again, as a reminder, we have our head of delegation in-person meeting on Thursday, June 20th on Towson University campus in the West Village Commons. That'll happen after the registration occurs, and then we'll provide dinner with you there as well. So you can look for the signs, or we'll inform you when you come to registration on where exactly that will take place in the West Village Commons. Basic overview of the map. Again, this was shared previously, just has the main routes coming in: Charles Street, Towson Town Boulevard, Osler Drive, York Road, coming into Towson University campus, where we have all of our activities, except for, or with the exception of softball down in Ellicott City at Kiwanis Wallace Park. Again, here's the basic overview map that we shared with you again. Got the housing locations down in this area, as well as the dining facility. We've got the other housing registration or housing location here with the different competition venues in yellow and other activities, etc. The parking lots designated You'll see the yellow bus icons where, as we mentioned, the buses and shuttles will be circling around campus in a loop and hitting all the key points from housing, dining, parking lots, and competition venues, and then our other activities as far as opening ceremony, Olympic Park, and things like that on Friday and Saturday. Basic schedule, nothing has really changed as of the last webinar. Just again, reminder on Friday, swimming and cheerleading will start competitions. Then we'll head into the young athlete celebration, the champions reception, and look for the staging of athletes who've been selected for the opening ceremony, and go right into opening ceremony, get the individuals back to their dorms for overnight. And again, as a reminder, dining, the first official meal of the games, if you will be for cheerleading competitors on Friday only. The swimming is on their own, and then moving into dinner on Friday night for those who are officially registered and being housed on campus will use their swipe cards to come and partake in the dinner provided on Friday night. Moving into Saturday, again, you can see the competition schedules here. Again, we're looking into updating and finalizing the competition schedules as we've had to work through some challenges with some of the registrations in GMS, getting the final data, final information, and cleanups with that. So we look to get that out as soon as we can, and Mike may touch on that in a little bit. But again, we can always look to our coaches resource page and look through your emails and other avenues for your coaches and others as we get those competition schedules a little bit more dialed in based on the numbers through registration. And again, moving into Sunday, we've got our competition there, the breakfast schedules. Again, on the meal schedules, as we mentioned previously, just kind of do your best with your coaches to abide by the shifts, if you will, for the breakfast and dinners that are over in West Village. Those are by sport, not by delegation. So take a look at that. We know it may need to fluctuate and whatever, but we do ask for your assistance to abide by that as much as possible in order to get everybody in, yet have them be able to eat their meals and then vacate so others can come in. Some registration updates. At this point, I will turn these next few slides, I think, over to Mike, and he will address these, and then I'll hand back to me and Jane as we go forward. So, Mike.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. So, thank you to everybody for getting stuff in. There was a little bit of a juggling, if you will, of getting some things resolved. But it looks like everything is set now. I will tell you, we are not accepting any further changes. I know Jake sent a couple things out, and you can deal with that on a sports-specific situation, but based on the timeline he had. But swimming, track, and I believe we can also put in cheerleading and softball. The only changes we're accepting are scratches. There'll be the opportunity based on who's already in as alternates and such to adjust for relay teams for track and swimming, but really we're not taking any more. And I appreciate folks saying they've got updated scores, but it's too late. Actually, both track and swimming are essentially done as far as getting the first round on the divisioning done. Still working out scheduling stuff, so we're looking to post that in the near future. But on Friday, June 14th, or perhaps a day ahead of time, we will be sending out an overall list again. I'd love to say I'll take the time and split it out and have individual things for each county and so on. In all honesty, that takes hours to do. So it'll probably be, once again, one big file or one big PDF report that you can go through. The purpose on sending it out then, do not count on the divisions. They will almost definitely not be the final divisions, because we'll still be adjusting division numbers and sequencing and such. But as was noted previously, you have until noon on Monday, June 17th, the following Monday, to let us know of any additional scratches. After that deadline, your registration fees for summer games will be based on everybody who's still in your games as of noon on Monday. So we want to send it out one more time. We know not everybody has direct access into GMS, so you can check. I would suggest strongly, and we'll put this in the roster or the message that goes out, look carefully at your non-athletes. That's where the biggest challenge and oversight often happens, is people forget when they have a bunch of people who were brought in from the training, the transfer, the advancement from training, and they don't clear them out. So please do go through, look at that, and clear them out. You will not be able to go in and do it yourself. You'll need to send the scratches to me. We'll farm them out and get them taken care of. And then following that, we'll send another roster, which hopefully at that point, I can't guarantee it, but hopefully at that point, we'll have all the divisioning done and final there. That'll go out on Tuesday, the 18th. So you have that as a reference point. You'll still get, when you come on site, or we'll post in advance, things like, just using track as an example, the Bucci report and your divisions and so on down the line. Those will all still be there and posted online, and you'll get hard copies with the labels and all that, and similar things for the other sports, the stuff you normally get. But we want to get whatever we can out to you in advance with that. Steve, you want to click? And then on-site registration will be Thursday, June 20th, from 2 to 6 in the lobby of the first floor of the University Union. If you will not have someone come by, and we understand in some cases that may happen, thinking folks in the far extremes, far Western Maryland, far Eastern Shore and such, if you're not going to have somebody come by and get your packets and your room keys on Thursday, please let me know, so that we're not sitting there waiting when everybody who's going to be there has already come through. So you can provide scratches at that point, additional scratches. If you have them, of course, they won't be factored into, or they won't reduce any registration fees and such, but that is helpful in terms of running the competition. Then you can see the items that you'll be picking up when you're there. Everyone should have their shirts in hand, I think. Is that right, Steve? All of them have been actually delivered and received and such. If for some reason you don't have them, check with Steve. I'm going to hand that one off to him to deal with, not me. So
yeah, if you haven't received your shirts, please let me know. I haven't heard confirmation from everyone, but I'm assuming so, because if you hadn't gotten them, you should have let me know a while ago. So
Yep.
again, just let me know if for some reason you haven't received them. And again, I appreciate everyone's patience with that, and it's hopefully worked out well for everyone.
Okay. And then just a reminder, we'll be going through, we really can't, unfortunately, we can't do this step until we know who's there, who's registered, and who you had indicated would be coaches. Because just because someone has a coach certification doesn't mean they're serving in that role at this particular event. So in the next couple of days, we'll be going through and making sure that everyone who you indicated should be an assistant coach, a coach, head coach, and so on, meets those criteria from the and the biggest challenge typically is, or whatever, is the sports certification component. If they don't meet that, we will adjust them to the highest level that they do meet. It does also mean if someone is not credentialed as a coach, that you would, or you don't have someone who is credentialed as a head coach, I should say, you would lose the opportunity to file a protest in that sport. Again, we provide the information as much as we can with those weekly updates that Dottie Rush from our office does. So hopefully most people are taken care of with that. One thing we will not do is that if you put somebody in as a volunteer, but they are a certified coach, we're not going to elevate them to a coach. So don't be worried about that. Yeah, I think that's good. And then again, there's the links there to the coach resource page. And with that, I'll hand it off to Jane.
Jane, if you're comfortable, I know, my apologies, you have not seen the slides yet this evening.
That's
if
not
you're
a surprise, Steve.
I can cover this, or if you feel comfortable going on the fly, and then you can just chime in, up to you.
Okay. So as far as the housing and registration, it'll be at the same time in the union. Nothing's changed about lost keys, $75 per key. The next line I'm not familiar with. Those late checkout is not an option this year, so that's news to me.
I think it's more of it's not a standard option. If there are extreme situations or whatever, you can let us know at registration check-in, and we'll do our best to help you out with anything late checkouts on Sunday.
Okay, so I'll work with the housing team at Towson to see what we can and cannot do for you. So also, as far as the deadline for scratches, as you know, is next Monday. That's great if you let Mike know, but you need to let me know too, so that I can clear them out of the housing, because I get cut out of entering any housing information on Tuesday morning. So if you scratch any athletes, just make sure you copy me so I can remove them from the housing list.
Okay. And Jane, I'll make sure that anything I get,
Okay.
I forward to you as well. So.
Okay, great. I am going, I know I have cell phone numbers for most of you. But if you can send me if you can email me or text me, and I will put my number in the chat box, just so that I can get to you when they tell me you're missing 3 keys and you don't think you're missing 3 keys, we can discuss it on Sunday. And for any other reason, if I need to reach out to you for any specific reason. So just please let me know your cell number so I can get hold of you. I think that's a really key feature. There's not anything else that I can think of other than nothing is really changed about the rooms except for one thing. It's my understanding that every bed will have been lowered. So we should not have any issues for if you've requested a lower bed and it has not been lowered. It's my understanding that all beds this year will have been lowered for Special Olympics.
At least we have requested that, and Towson has acknowledged our request for that for sure. And again, I think as you guys look to, I see a couple of guys and ladies sending your information to Jane. Appreciate that. And we will also have as long as the information in GMS is accurate, we will have a list of heads of delegation and area county leaders, if you will, directors in the control center with phone numbers and emails as well.
So that's all I have, Steve. If you have anything else to add, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Jane. No, again, I just appreciate everyone working with Jane. Does a fabulous job, not just here at Summer Games with housing, but Winter Games and other activities and other events throughout the year. So, Jane, we appreciate your continued involvement and leadership in helping everyone get arranged for Summer Games. One of a few things here, just an update on what's available or what's being supplied by Towson in the rooms. You have your towel, your washcloth, blanket, fitted sheet, pillow, and pillowcase. You're on your own with any other bathroom supplies, if you will, your soap, shampoo, other housekeeping items such as that. Meals, just want to talk real briefly on the meals again, as we talked about in the schedule when the meals are provided and the shifts. Again, those who are staying overnight, please make sure that everyone has their swipe cards that will be issued to you as heads of delegation at the check-in, if you will, and registration. Those will be the tickets, if you will, to get into the breakfast and dinners, again, for those who are staying overnight. Again, we talked about cheerleading being the only competition venue, if you will, being provided lunch on Friday. So again, those who are coming to swimming, just a gentle reminder, we talked to the coaches as well. Swimming competitors and delegation members, etc., are on their own for lunches. You may see some people, if you're over at that venue, having lunch provided by Towson and us. Those are for the management team members and the several volunteers who got there very early in the morning to get the venue finalized and set up, working from 8 o'clock, if not earlier in the morning, throughout the day. So just so you know why on that one. So again, as we talked about, again, those who ordered the lunches, please make sure you take them with you. At the end of the day, if we're running ahead of schedule, such as swimming, it seems to be the hot point of people just not taking their lunches. It does create a burden on us to collect those lunches, return them back, not let them spoil, then find a place for them to be dispersed afterwards. So if you've ordered lunches, we depend on you to take them and eat them. Just some updates there. We talked about the CQ Arena being renamed or referred to as the TU Arena, the United Stadium. We've talked about the track and field resurfacing. Again, there's the reminder of the swipe cards for your meals. Block party on Friday. We'll be there. Again, I think we clarified this previously, but our plan is to have food vendors there from Pizza Bowlies and Kona Ice that will be able to provide meals for those not staying overnight, or the option to purchase, I should say, such products via either cash or credit card. We'll talk a little bit more about opening ceremony in a minute, but again, there's a reminder there for those who are selected to be in the parade representing your delegation, what time that all starts taking place for the staging of those individuals, getting them into the opening ceremony, getting them ready for the big ceremony, if you will. So with that, Mike, I don't know if you want to hit on this one or 2 points.
Yes,
here
please. Thank you. Thanks. So thank you to those who have completed the survey. Actually, thank you for those who sent stuff in without the survey. We did not put that information. If you emailed us information, we did not put it in the survey because the survey captures the number of people who you expect at summer games for opening ceremony, whether you have folks who utilize wheelchairs or have mobility issues, so we know where to place different delegations on the floor. It also has your opportunity to say who's going to be in the parade. Again, you can have a maximum of 4 athletes and 1 partner or coach or whomever. That's it. That is not, there are no exceptions to that. Please don't come and ask, can't we add a 5th person? They're really special and yada, yada. Yeah, everybody's really special. So no, you're not going to get more than that. So that's captured in that survey. In addition, our nominations for athletes to carry the torch, there'll be 4 people selected for that, for the to recite the athlete's oath, to recite the pledge to the flag, to nominate a coach. I think there's one more athlete role I'm forgetting, but I don't have the survey up in front of me at the moment. But anyhow, so we didn't put anything that you sent by email because I don't think anybody answered all of those questions. I really strongly recommend that you, if you're going to have somebody there, if you're going to have people there at opening ceremonies, nominate folks. It's shocking that we don't get as many nominations for those roles in opening ceremonies as you would expect. So we're getting this information a little earlier than we have, at least than we did last year. We need it by Monday at 6. We'll send a reminder out on Friday. But if we don't have it, your folks, your delegation will be acknowledged from the stage, but you won't have anybody, you won't have designated seating, and you won't have anybody in the parade. But please do that. For those who do submit any nominations, we will be making the selection. Actually, folks from our athlete leadership team will make the selection based on what you submit. And by Tuesday evening, and then by Wednesday, we'll let everybody who was selected know who was selected, and you can work with your athletes and coach potentially to get them there where they need to be. It's a really good opportunity. And you know, we find ourselves frequently going back to the same counties again and again. It's because they're the ones who submit stuff. So so please do take that opportunity. I think this is based on a question that someone had asked previously to me directly in an email. In terms of when we're asking about the number of athletes who or folks who use wheelchairs and or have significant mobility challenges, typically, unless we have an inordinate number of delegations who say they have folks in this category, we'll keep space for those individuals with the rest of their delegation. It would be on the floor of the TU Arena. They wouldn't be separated from the rest of your delegation. The only time that we would have to do something like that is that if we have too many areas who need that additional or that special seating, if you will, and we can't accommodate everybody on the floor. There is a limited amount of space there. So please do be sure with that. As a reminder, also, we will, as we had done for the last couple of years, based on a suggestion from a head of delegation, your folks who are in the parade will then come and sit with you in the with the rest of your delegation. If you have anybody who is selected as either a torchbearer or someone reciting or leading an oath and such, they will not sit with your delegation. They will be either on the stage or with the rest of the torch run folks if they're selected to be a torchbearer. But anybody who's in the parade, we'll be sure you have space to have them sit with you.
Like, just a clarification, you had mentioned, because I don't know the answer to this to myself, to be honest, that we will notify you who's been selected for said roles with the torch or the oaths.
Yes.
We will contact the HODs, and then we'll request them to contact the individuals, and we won't be connecting with the individuals ourselves.
No, I will. The coach will probably do both, but I personally will be contacting each of the HODs for anybody who is selected. And we do try to spread it out, assuming we have enough nominees so that we have broad representation. But I personally will be sending you an email Wednesday during the day or the evening. We're just kind of inundated with stuff right now, but I'll send that out to you directly.
Great. Thank you for that.
Sure. So again, similar structure to what we've had for the last several years in the TU arena. When we'll provide with the at the head of delegation meeting on Thursday, potentially in advance of that, but we'll provide the diagram of where everybody's seated and such, so that you know that and you can share that with your folks ahead of time. Reminder again, a maximum of 4 athletes. If I don't have it by 6 on Monday the 17th, I'm serious about it. We're moving forward. So this is a huge operation, and need folks to stick with those deadlines as we get closer and closer to the games. Your folks who are in the parade will be need to report between 6:30 and 7. The earlier the better, to the parade staging area. That's right inside the entrance to the TU, or it's still labeled as CQ Arena. In fact, actually, I had a meeting, not Summer Games related, I had a meeting at Towson, and they still refer to it as CQ Arena. But earlier today, they were doing that. So, and that's what's on the side. But anyhow, they'll come in that main door. Those of you who have been here before are familiar with it. As soon as they come in that main entrance door, they're going to make a hard right, sort of almost making a U-turn around to where the parade staging is. And we'll have signage and all there. Melissa Kelly will once again be coordinating the check-in for parade staging and signing folks and such and such. If again, if they're not there by 7 o'clock, they'll be removed from the parade. And again, we'll still acknowledge your county from the parade, but we need to move on. And also, if someone cannot be there, then you're going to have one less person in the parade. We really can't, particularly with athletes being the MCs, as they have been, I think, very successfully for the last several years. Making those kind of frequent changes, particularly with names, becomes a little more challenging. And so we won't be swapping folks out. Please do not send somebody else in there because Melissa or I will be the ones who tell them, that your head of delegation made a mistake there. So, so I guess, as noted, after the parade, they'll go and sit with their delegations. We're looking again, I think last year, not that this isn't a race, we're not trying to rush through it, but we do know it's been a long day, a long traveling day for many folks. And so we want to have it crisp and focused. So it should, last year, I think it was at like 57 minutes. Again, we're estimating between 60 and 75 minutes for the opening ceremony. One other thing as a note, I think we have a slide with the weather on it, but that's still 2 weeks out. You are welcome. You're the rest of your delegation. You have the folks coming in for the parade staging. That's great. The rest of the delegation, when we open the doors, if they want to come in and sit in the arena where the air conditioning is on, if it's kind of hot out there, they can do that starting at about 6:30. And we'd be happy to have them come in there, just, sit in your designated delegation location. We should have our volunteers who are helping run opening ceremony in place to guide folks to those locations as they check in. Next, Steve. Mentioned about the oaths and such. Again, we'll let you know by Wednesday. Steve, did you want to mention about more about the clear bag policy than I do?
Yeah, previously we had a clear bag, or Towson had a clear bag policy in place going into buildings, specifically large groups such as the opening ceremony. That's not the case this year, at least. But if you do bring a bag in, it cannot be bigger than your typical backpack, and that will be checked by the security agents there as you walk in through the TU arena. We try to limit the number of bags because all that will do is slow down the entrance and the progress coming into the TU arena. So only if it's necessary, and know that please tell people to look in their bags. I know, if they camp a lot or they go fishing and they use their backpack, there could be a knife, there could be a screwdriver, there could be something that could be deemed as a weapon. They will confiscate that, potentially give it back to you afterwards, but do not count on that. The only exception to anything larger than a typical backpack would be something, as you've seen with our medical bags, things like that. If you have something like that, obviously they'll let that in. Please make sure it's labeled appropriately and indicated as such. So again, just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. Just if you don't need it, leave it in your car or leave it somewhere else where it's secured.
And then at the end of opening ceremony, how we'll exit, and again, we'll go over this in a little more detail at the Thursday HOD meeting next week. But the MC will ask any attendees who are not staying on campus overnight to exit from the upper levels. That takes them out. They can walk right by the torch and they can get down to where they need to get to. Yes, we understand that not everybody's going to do that. But what we're trying to do with that, we really encourage you to encourage your delegation members who are not staying overnight is to do that, because that relieves the foot traffic from the main exit that's going to the buses. And so, again, we know it's not going to be 100%, but please do help support with that. And again, the MC, or it may be me, announcing that from the stage to encourage people to go that route. We'll then call area counties for the first group to go out to the shuttle buses and such. Please do wait in your seating area where you're assigned until your delegation is called. In addition, I mean, you're getting out there and thinking you'll jump the gun or whatever. That really just creates problems. It basically causes a mass of bodies there, and then the people who need to get on the buses can't get on the buses, so on down the line. If you have to say any goodbyes for people who you'll see the next day or something like that, do that in the arena. Don't do that out by the doorway so people have to walk around you and so on down the line. Again, it's a little bit of common sense, but sometimes folks get excited and they forget about it. So if you could please do that. We anticipate about 500 folks per wave to get them from the arena to their dorms or their lodging space, which in theory means it actually should take less than 2 waves to get everybody back there. But that's all contingent on getting the loading, so on. And kudos, although I don't think he'll be in this role, kudos to George Hergenhan, who kind of set up and designed this process for us, along with the folks from Towson Transportation and such, that we think works as best as it can, given the volume of folks we need to do. And I think that's it unless there's another slide on opening ceremonies. There is not.
I think the other thing, and we'll mention this to the families and otherwise, although depending on the availability of the shuttles coming through campus and making the loops on Friday leading into the opening ceremony and the block party, Family members may be able to access the shuttle buses depending on the availability and space to get up to Lot 7 or that area for the opening ceremony, but they will not necessarily have any access to the shuttles on departure, as those are going to be designated to get everyone back to their housing facilities in a timely manner. So just an FYI there. This is the last call. Well, the last calls have happened previously, but just a reminder of who I have designated for golf carts and the radio request there. So again, just a second check on that. And again, Katie, yours will be the one that's broken down on the side of the road. So there you go. Again,
Same old.
yeah, as we talked about the shuttles and transportation. Again, it's going to hit all the key points on each given day based on the housing facilities and all our key points around campus. If there's anybody who's going to softball, Melissa Anger has already worked with the coaches to confirm this, but this is the last chance. If there's any individual who is already officially registered on a softball team or traveling with the team as officially part of that delegation and that softball support staff, those buses leaving have been contracted out and they currently do not have any lifts on them as far as any wheelchair access or anything like that. So again, just a reminder there. And then you see the other things, just again, we'll talk to you guys in regards to any questions you have at the HOD meeting in person on Thursday night about any updates or changes, things like that. So one of the things I do want to mention is for you guys, and if you have one or two helpers coming with you, assistants, whatever, coming on Thursday, when you're checking in, there will be a parking app similar to last year that you will have to utilize and input your information as far as your license plate number, etc. It's not ready to be sent out yet. It doesn't become active or available to us until I think it's this June 12th. I'm going to test it first, but be on the lookout for that information. Last year we had a little snafu, and I'm glad I tested it first before I sent it out to everyone. Again, please use that only for people who are arriving on Thursday or for any reason other than Thursday if you're coming on campus. We do get charged for each entry. So it's not a free app. This is just Townsend saying, hey, anybody on there, just don't ticket them. For every license plate that's entered, we do get a parking charge. It will say in those instructions, if you will, it'll say the University Union Garage, I believe, is your point of location in order to park. It's only because that's where they have to enter into this app, one location. It is good throughout campus in the parking garages, at the competition venues, things like that on Thursday if you're doing a quick drive-by or whatever. But you must obey other parking signs if it says restricted or reserved for or whatever else. Don't park in those. Park in the general parking as the signs indicate. Okay. One of the other things, again, as always, we're working with Townsend. We'll also work with Chesapeake Charter on the buses and softball. If there's any delays in competition, as you'll see, potentially could happen with the forecast that's this far out with weather delays or anything like that, the shuttles will continue to remain in service until we call the competition and get everybody back to where they need to be. Again, just a reminder for those who are on softball, the ones that we have requested for and have provided transportation to Ellicott City is the two Hartford teams, and then St. Mary's and Anne Arundel, as well as Montgomery and Lower Shore on Saturday. And then Montgomery and Lower Shore have indicated that they don't need their services on Sunday, but the other, St. Mary's, Anne Arundel, and the two Hartford teams will have the shuttles bringing them back to Townsend campus after the games on Sunday. Olympic Park block party victory dance, again, same thing we talked about last time. Seize the day. We have continued to receive questions in regards to what's the theme of the dance and that kind of stuff. Just help us get that out. We will also provide that out to the athletes who family members who join us for the webinar later this week. Control Center, we'll share this information with you guys again on Thursday at the in-person HOD meeting. The phone number for the Control Center, you can see here on the slide, it's the same as last year. We have confirmed that with Townsend once again. It's also located in the event guide that's posted on our coaches resource page. But again, for the most part, that should just remain with you as heads of delegations. Obviously, it's in the event guide. Anybody has access to that number. But as the leader of your delegation, please keep those calls to a minimum, but coming through you so that, if there's emergencies or things like that, or you need to track Jane down for a lost key or something like that, you have the number in the case of those emergencies or other following up with any information that we ask for. Talked about the other information there. Again, one thing that we just want to mention, hopefully it doesn't happen. I'm not aware that it's happened in at least the last several years that I've been here, through 7, 8, 9 years almost, that any delegation who we become aware of who's housing someone who's not officially registered or being housed on the official forms through Jane, if that comes to our attention and we find this out, that whole delegation will not be eligible to be housed on campus the following year. So again, it's for health and safety and respect of all, and for many other purposes, but just as a head of delegation and working with your coaches and other support staff, we want to make sure everything's in compliance there. One of the things there, again, we'll talk to you guys when you check in on Thursday about any late checkout situations and things of that nature. But again, a reminder, turn in your housing keys. You can keep the swipe cards, but the actual keys need to be turned into the front desk of whichever housing facility you're in the morning of the day you're checking out. Okay. Just some reminders again, for general purposes, the event guide has been posted on the coach's resource page. You have the link there. Thanks to Mike for posting that. It is tentative, a lot of information. I always say nothing's finalized until the day after the event, if you will. Most of us have at least planned a qualifier or some other type of fundraising event or something of that nature through the years with Special Olympics or with another organization. Nothing's finalized until the event's over, pretty much, as far as schedules. Just remind people it is tentative. And again, it's a good guideline, if you will, a good baseline for general information purposes, and to get a good idea of what's happening throughout the summer games. We talked about the medical reminders, and just look out for each other, look out for ourselves, look out for the competitors, coaches, about hydration and everything in regards to health and safety and that. Again, you've heard me preach about it, if you will. It goes to my dad and my brother, who are actually preachers. But with the healthy athletes, we're here for competition, but the healthy athletes and the free screening there and the medical services really has been life-saving and can be life-changing. So I don't want to underestimate the possibilities of life-changing experiences that can occur through the Healthy Athletes program. Again, our yappers, if you will, the young athlete program, that's the one time where you can refer to the athletes as kids or kiddos or young'uns, or whatever terminology you may use that's appropriate. That's going to be a great activity to have them back on campus and part of the summer games. That'll be back behind the softball fields, if you will, at the field hockey field leading in this opening ceremony. This is another promotional slide just about the health exams and healthy athletes. Again, very important aspect. We have, I think it's over 150 different doctors, nurses, clinicians, medical professionals who come and donate their time to take this opportunity to give the exams and do the best that they can for our athletes who are there in attendance. Mike?
Yeah, and I think you may have mentioned this back on the schedule, but the Healthy Athletes will be operating from 12 noon on Saturday. This is on campus until 6 at night. So we know it's fairly conveniently located for swimming and for bocce. For track right now, don't hold me to this, but your schedule, probably including relays on Saturday, the 4x2s, will probably be done by about 3, if not a little earlier. So you have a few hours to get over and make use of and take part of. They've worked out with all the clinicians to stick around for an extra couple hours, or shifted when they started. So that opportunity is there. For softball, you may be back from being off campus at that point, but you do have at the softball venue, I think, Steve, it's Special Smiles, I believe, is supposed to be there.
Yep,
So
special smiles, and there'll be fitting for mouth guards and one or two other potential opportunities there at Kiwanis, Wallace, and Ellicott City.
yeah, so we can't make this 24 hours a day, and there's limits in terms of what we can get in terms of for the from the clinicians and all. But we really hope that the extended hours and the adjusted hours makes it possible for folks to take advantage of this.
Thank you again. If you're not familiar with protest procedures regarding appeals, refer to this slide. Head coaches only, except in the exception of track and field or athletics, where the competitors can do that on their own accord, if you will, with maybe some assistance, depending on who the individual as the competitor may be filling out that just from a procedural standpoint and a documentation perspective. And the appeals come through you as the head of delegation. If you feel that the coach has, or the athlete for that matter in track and field, has made a good point and you do not agree with the decision where a protest was denied by the sports rules committee for that given sport, and you want to raise it up the flag, by all means do so as the head of delegation if you deem it appropriate. I have appealed decisions at the USA games when a protest was denied from one of my coaches. I believe it was in bocce in Seattle, Washington for the USA games there. I appealed to the decision when the protest was denied, and we didn't necessarily win the outcome, but we had a great discussion with the games rules committee for the USA games and the other coach, and we came to a conclusion that was beneficial, and we all agreed upon the outcome that benefited the athlete from Special Olympics Maryland and gave more of an appropriate awarding placement in that situation. So as you heard us talk about it previously, we don't say, oh gosh, here comes Joe again, he's going to file another protest. If it's reasonable and if it's accurate, it's the coach's job to not necessarily fight for the athlete, but to bring it to the attention and at least have an outcome, and it helps our sports rules committee and others. We don't ever say, oh gosh, that's a problem child or a problem person coming to file protest. Do it if it's appropriate to be done. And there's, we've talked about why and how a protest should be filed. So just want to make you aware of that. Here's the weather. Again, just prepare for all types of weather. And if tents need to be removed, remove them if they're asked to, that kind of stuff. And again, if there's emergency mandate evacuation, stay in shelter placed by Towson and us, please abide by that. I will let Mike hit on this, but you can kind of see if you have your glasses on like myself, but here's way out in front of it. But again, just to reiterate, be prepared for all types of weather. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's for what it's worth this far out. We'll obviously be watching and using our weather app that we utilize. It's actually the same weather app that Towson does. It gives us alerts on, any lightning or any changes and such at various distances and all. But we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, as we get to like Wednesday or so of next week, we'll get a better picture. Right now, they're calling for not too much rain, but rain on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But we'll see. That could be overnight and such. But again, it's almost 2 weeks out. I'll take it with a huge grain of salt.
Enough said about weather. I think we all get the idea. We get the point here. Again, sunscreen not provided. You're on your own for that as well. So, and again, you can refer to this. We'll all the venue directors and everyone will know at the facilities and the competition venues of where to go in case of an emergency evacuation. But just so you have this to reference, it's located here as well. Again, just some pictures that we've shared with you about the track and some other competition venues and the layouts. One of the things I do want to stress about here, and we'll stress it out to the bocce coaches with an email. We have looked at singles is definitely going to be on Saturday for bocce, and then doubles, unified and traditional, on Sunday. We had mentioned that most likely it'll be singles for females in the morning and then transitioning into the male competition for singles in the afternoon. As we are just getting the registrations in, Jake is reviewing that. There is a very good likelihood that there could be some males mixed in with the females competing in the morning, not necessarily within the same division, male against female, but on the courts. So again, just want you as heads of delegation to let your bocce coaches know Be prepared to have all competitors there for singles in the morning on Saturday. We'll send out the schedule. We'll let them know, but I want to get that information out in front of you guys as early as possible so that the plan isn't, hey, if we have male athletes, we know we're not going until the afternoon, so don't get here till about 11:30 or so. That may not be the case based on scratches and based on the ratio of female and males in the sport of bocce. Again, that's being reviewed now, but just be aware of that.
Steve,
Joyce.
Joyce has her hand raised.
Yep. Joyce, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
So I had two questions, one of which Nancy also just typed into the chat, so you can address that after. But on the slide where it talked about where we go in emergency weather situations a couple slides ago, for track, I think it said Towson Center. It does say Towson Center, and I thought that was CQ.
It is CQ.
Okay.
Yep. Good point. That is, you can go to either, but we will evacuate 2000 or TU Arena or the
Okay.
CQ. So yeah,
It'll
I
just be
appreciate.
easier to be able to tell our whole group to go to one
Yep.
place, not to say either when they're up there.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's
Thanks for
CQ.
catching.
Just as and again, not everybody was there last year. I understand that, but yeah, they'll have seating available in there. Actually, you may be able to see some of the stuff getting set up if it's on Saturday for the block party or the Olympic Park. But yeah, so
then
and
the other
also
question
Nancy,
was-
one of the
go ahead.
things we'll do is with our friends in the control center, we'll work on getting notifications out by text to folks. That's one of the reasons I think well, we'll definitely have collected your email or your cell phone number so we can text things out to you. And I know each of the venues has the cell numbers of the head coaches for their delegations.
You got a second question, Joyce?
It was the same. The second one was the same thing Nancy just asked.
Okay, hey, Steve, actually, one of the things you flew past the track stuff, and there was something there I wanted to point out. You don't have to go back. I mean, there is that's you can see it's a beautiful track if you haven't been there, or if you're not a track coach, but you have a chance to pop over there. It's just they did a wonderful job. But something different. We don't have a slide with this, but something that's different this year that I want to make sure everybody is aware of. And that is Special Olympics International has given all of the states and countries and such the authorization to put sponsor logos on bibs. So we this year have the new bibs that we'll have the Allegis logo. We are not turning our athletes into billboards or anything like that. But just don't want anybody surprised. There's still the same restrictions in terms of uniforms and commercial messages on them and so on down the line. But we do have on competitor bibs, we've got that. Can't do it for the swimming bibs because those are just numbers. So maybe we can put a tattoo station there with a logo for that. But yeah, but don't be surprised. You'll see that on your track bibs. And that is a change. So.
And again, these are just what we have shared with the coaches in their webinars, or what we will be sharing in the next couple of days. Just basic layouts of the different competition venues, so you as a head of delegation get a basic lay of the land, and you can look at these on your own. Not much has changed from previous years if you've been to each of the competition venues or whatever, but just wanted to let everyone have a basic understanding of the different layouts of the different sports venues, if you will. So I'm just going to flip through these, and I know that these will be sent out and on our coaches resource page. If you want to take a look at them at your leisure, feel free to do so. Again, just as a reminder, we've said this with the coaches. I think we said it with you guys at our first webinar. As with every event, collectively, Special Olympics Maryland headquarters staff, if you will, we think of our management team members as an extension of the state office. We also think of you guys as heads of delegation as an extension of us, and as well as the area and county directors and many others in leadership roles. So collectively, it's our job to do the best we can to provide the best experience for everybody in attendance for any event we do. I reiterate that, especially this year, due to the fact that we are down several key leadership volunteers, if you will. I think everyone's aware, but if not, we are down 2 sports directors at this time from the state office. So we have Mike assisting with Ron Freeman with the operations for track and field or athletics moving forward. We have myself and Zach Centron serving in the sports director role, if you will, leading into summer games. We're also down our 2 management team members. I want to acknowledge they have continued to work leading up to the summer games. I think both of them until the Thursday right before the opening ceremony. Both Ron Freeman, who is our venue director at track and field, will not be there this year due to family or previous engagement. I'll just leave it at that. Similarly, Neil Coffey at swimming. So they both have tremendous management team members who have worked together for many years, and under their guidance and leadership have developed those individuals. So we feel very confident that we won't miss a beat. However, it's a loss to us. So collectively, if things don't go right, as I always say, an event is why it's called an event and not a perfect plan, because things will go wrong. Things will have some tweaks here and there, but it's how we all react together to either resolve the issue, solve an issue, or at least address the issue. So as heads of delegation, if you see something going wrong, don't just say, what the heck's going on over there? Hey, is there anything I can do to help? As most of you guys do anyway. But again, just be aware of it. Again, we don't think that it'll impact anybody from the competition perspective or the field of play. But behind the scenes, there may be a little bit more scrambling, if you will, than have been in previous years, just because of the circumstances and the personnel. But again, I have full faith in our competition staff, our management teams, our leadership volunteers, as well as you guys and all coaches and competitors and others for that matter. But just something to be aware. So you have the information here as far as general questions, who to go to, leading into summer games and things like that. Again, as we just talked about, we thank you as heads of delegation for taking on the ownership, the leadership that it takes to coordinate all the efforts leading up to summer games for your programs. We thank you for the many hats most of you wear throughout the year. And we're here for you. You're here for us. We're in this together. And we really look forward to having another very successful summer game. So with that, I will turn it over to Mike and see if any questions have come in.
Sure. So I just want to share something. I shared it at our all staff during as a mission moment, if you will. And Joyce, I'll ask you not to correct me because I'm sure I will elaborate beyond or fictionalize a bit of it. But just so that you are can see the impact on the athletes is always great, but the impact on family members can be just as or even more important. We have an athlete in our, you all know, most of you know, I coach track with Joyce and several others. We have an athlete, a young athlete, I think he's 14. This is his first year with track. He had done or has done, continues to do soccer or soccer skills and such. But his mother was very reluctant and actually did not want him to do any competition this year. She was very concerned in terms of his, whether he could handle it and so on down the line. And, he's matured some, but Joyce shared with me after he came to one competition. She convinced him, kudos to Joyce, she convinced the mom to bring him to the Howard County track meet, which was a little over a week ago. And the mom was there, sat in the stands. Reed, as we all knew, did just fine. And then, and I may not have the quote exactly right, but during the day, Joyce, the mother said to Joyce, I get it now that what the event's about, but also that my son can do this and can handle this type of thing. And it was just something you don't always hear. You all probably have similar types of stories, but This was, I think that day and the entire season was a transformative experience, not just for Reed, the athlete, but for Mom as well. So just wanted to share that. I'm sure I mythologize some of it, but it's close enough to the truth and I'm sticking to it. So
It's pretty accurate.
yeah, okay.
So
So,
actually going
one
to come
other-
to summer games and watch a little bit so they can see what it's like and so you can come next year.
Yeah. So one other thing when we wrap, could Jane, Dottie Farrell, Trish and Ellen stay on? We just want to, there's a housing question we just want to get resolved, and we got y'all here, so may as well do it while we're here if we can. But thank you for making this part of my life so meaningful, and I truly appreciate everything y'all do.
Here for you. If you have any questions, have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for your giving up an hour or so of your time tonight, and we look forward to a great summer games.
Okay,
Great.
I'm gonna
Thank you.
turn off the recording.